Okay, my name is Mike Valla, and I'm here in Kansas City from Ballston Spa, New York, which is in upstate New York, towards the Adirondack Mountains, the Adirondack Park. And I'm here to talk about traditional Catskill style trout flies and how to fish them. It's been a passion of mine, a consuming passion since boyhood. I first got involved with fishing, fly fishing, and tying Catskill type trout flies way back in 1968. And as a boy, I had the fortunate experience of wandering into the homes of some of the most famous Catskill fly tyers of our time. Tyers who came into the sport way back in the 1920s. As a result of that, I became very, very interested in the history of fly fishing. And then later in life, that led to writing, let's see now, 5 books, which are pretty much historically based on the history of fly tying and fly fishing in America. There's a 6th book I have coming out this July, which deals with a different type of trout fly called a bucktail or hairwing. But this has been the consuming passion of my boyhood. I've traveled all over the United States trying to keep the story of our founding flies. That's the title of one of my latest books. I tried to keep the story alive so that the basis of our sport, everything that started in the sport of fly fishing, isn't lost. That's why I'm here in Kansas City.
Tell me, you were saying, how did you actually get started as a boy? You read an Outdoor Life magazine article?
I spent hours, days, weeks in summer, especially at the city library in Binghamton, New York, going through every fly fishing book I could find, every magazine article I could have the librarians retrieve. And there was an article in Outdoor Life in 1969 that described fly fishing in the Catskill Mountains of New York State, where that's considered the birthplace of American fly fishing, the rivers and streams and lakes in that part of New York. I read this article and I was so taken by that area. I wanted to fish it in the worst way possible. It was 65 miles from my home. I had no one to take me there. So I skipped school lunches and saved my coins and bought a $6 bus ticket, and I went to these rivers alone at age 15. There's a couple who ties flies there at the time in the late 60s. This was 1969. That found me wandering around and offered their house to me to stay and fish. At first, my parents wouldn't allow it, but over the next couple of weeks, when I explained who these fly tyers were, these famous fly tyers, they agreed to let me stay with this fly tying couple. And I got to know them, and over the years I stayed with them during the fishing season.
Now, you still tie some of these. Do you remember the first tie, the first fly that you tied? Was it
Yes.
a design of one of these historic flies?
The first fly I tied was a Quill Gordon, which goes back to the alleged founder and fly of dry fly fishing in America, Theodore Gordon. I stumbled through that fly. But then quickly, the one that I really remember tying was a dry fly, a floating fly called the Adams. And I can remember as clear as yesterday showing with examples of my work to this famous fly tying couple. What do you think of my flies? Is there anything wrong with them? And they were very crudely tied, but the woman, her name was Winnie, said to me, "Young man, you have nothing to be ashamed of." And that was the most encouraging remark I could have heard, being the youngster I was.
Did you